The godfather of MAHA having a big week this week. RFK, HHS secretary, giving a big speech today to the Heritage Foundation, marking 1 year since his confirmation. Although technically that anniversary is the 13th. It's just amazing to me how much America has changed in terms of health perceptions. And yes, with RFK, there has been some controversy with the vaccine changes, et cetera. But like, it's also some common sense stuff, right? Less processed foods or no processed foods, eat real food. And they obviously had a big moment last night at the Super Bowl. As you said, Dan, let's play the MAHA commercial.
The name was Denise. She died of obesity at 25. She had a heart attack. I was so fat and nasty. I would eat anything. I was like 345 pounds. A quart of ice cream every hour. I had so much self-hate when I was like that. I just wanted to kill myself. We're the most powerful country in the world, and we have the most obese, fudgy people. Something has to be done about processed food in this country.
Dan, some Democrats are out there calling RFK a charlatan and attacking him, but you have warned that they need to take a lesson from this, right? Like, just give us your thinking on this. Like, what is the Democratic posture right now? It doesn't need to change on MAHA.
Yeah, it does need to change because I've said this before. There's so much of what the MAHA movement is about that is propelled by regular moms and dads in suburban neighborhoods and across the country who have asked questions about why do my kids suddenly have digestive issues, and why do I personally have digestive issues? What about these vaccine schedules? There's so much going on. If I ask questions, I'm kind of shut down. It was an organic movement powered by Americans asking questions. And I think while some of it is not, like what's happening with measles, the outbreak is not good. I think there are areas to say, wait, time out. It may be a little bit more of lacking of science and kind of personal opinion. There's a lot that Robert F. Kennedy, that used to be the Democratic Party in the 1960s, 1970s. We questioned authority. We questioned institutions. We, were saying change is good and embracing new things. And I think RFK deserves credit for that. I've said this before. Trump deserves credit for hugging RFK. I think all politics is personal. Trump recognized this coalition could be helpful. And RFK does deserve credit for some of these common sense changes. He does.
I have been totally amazed by the transformation in the Republican Party on some of these issues, Sean, because I remember a time like when I was covering taxes, like over a decade and a half ago, where Democrats were trying to, levy taxes on sugary drinks because they were trying to find a way to sort of regulate kids drinking soda, and conservatives were always sort of hitting back at them saying, no, that like there's not a government role here.
Hello, Sarah Palin.
Right? It's different. How did that transformation happen?
Well, there's a couple things. One, there's a nuance in the policy, right? As you point out, Democrats wanted to raise taxes.
That's true.
It's inherently, again, I think that's part of the problem in the Republicans is that, not problem, like part of what we do is we'll be against any taxes. That's a good thing. But I think, and you're not hearing, what RFK and those guys are doing isn't talking about taxes or government. It's informing you, making you a better consumer. No one's saying you can't buy a bag of Cheetos. It's saying if you buy a bag of Cheetos, you probably will have digestive issues. They are probably not great for you. They might cause some additional issues or, whatever, Doritos. I think that's the difference, is that this movement is about transparency and informing people about how to make better decisions, not dictating things by the government or raising taxes. This has been a huge issue, I think. And the other thing that has come to light, and I am sort of view myself as one of these people, that for the longest time, when you were told whether you were trying to get healthy or lose weight, you'd look at a package and you'd say, oh, it says heart healthy. So therefore it's got to be good for you because the government is giving us this imprimatur of it's good for you. And you start realizing through the work of MAHA and Bobby Kennedy, et cetera, that no, actually that wasn't good for you. That's not healthy for you. That's not going to improve. And I think that's been the big difference, is that this idea of transparency and information has been huge. So this is tonight. Today he will give a speech at Heritage. There'll be another event tonight celebrating Bobby's 1 year in office. But this is a big deal. And as Dan said, it can't be overstated that like Bobby was championing this when he was running as a Democrat, right? And Trump embraced it and recognized the moment and merged MAHA and MAGA and said, hey, this can be, this was if you ever go back in time, and I love going down these rabbit holes, but Kodak, when I was growing up, you would go drop your film off at a little booth and then come back 5 days later. They bought the first digital camera and thought, this is never going anywhere, right? And literally the world transformed and Kodak got left in the dust. I believe that Democrats did the same thing with Bobby, where they sort of mocked the movement. They didn't see it. Bobby went and did this. And the next thing you know, here's what happened. This was theirs and they could have embraced it and they chose not to.
Well, and don't forget, Trump won by 1.7%. Most people would say the RFK movement's about 3 to 4%. I mean, Trump may owe his victory to Robert F. Kennedy.
Yeah, that's really.
And
what about
Dan's point? This is a demographic that Republicans have struggled with, right?
Yep.
Women, young women in particular. And I think that, like, frankly, I've been advocating this for a while. Like the next version of MAHA, I think, is social media. Like Republicans, whoever gets first to that flagpole and says, I'm going to be the champion of defending kids from social media and the horrible impacts that it's having on the next generation of Americans, is going to own, like, between MAHA and social media. If Republicans can get both of those issues, they will be unstoppable because that's a key demographic.
And Rahm Emanuel's been all over that, to his credit.
Yep. Right. Rahm gets the Democrat that's closest to embracing either MAHA or what we're talking about here, Sean, with social media. Dan, is there one that stands out?
Rahm he's written op-eds about it. He talks about it in his stump speech. I totally agree with Sean. Every parent with kids between 10 and 18 combats the challenge of social media, the pressures it puts on people about their images and stuff they have or don't have, and it's pretty scientific. It's pretty factual, the addictive nature of social media and the intent
suicide.
To addict children,
suicide rates. What social media has done to the next generation of Americans: learning, self-esteem, suicide rates, anorexia. You go down the list. There is. And you talk to any parent who has given their kid social media and they all regret it. They all say, I had to, or how can I fix this? Or I've lost my kid. I believe that we're going to look back in history and realize that this was a moment that we really screwed.
And this is where, for Democrats, just to be really political about this, the fact that, and I'm being serious here, the fact that J.D. Vance is so close to Silicon Valley, it is an opportunity to paint the barons of Silicon Valley have owned the Republican Party. That is the power of what Rahm is trying to frame, and he's smart.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm glad my daughter is 3 and still a long way from that, because I'm hoping by the time she's of age, it will be different. Right. But I don't know.
I hope so. But I will tell you again, we delayed this as long as possible.
Yeah.
There's one thing that you talk to every parent and they wish they had waited just a little bit longer. Phones changed the dynamic between parents and their kids. They changed how kids do. It's like I said,
and the problem is, like, when your daughter comes home from a school dance or whatever, and they're like, everybody else has their phone. The first time one of our kids came home from a dance and said, you're ruining my life, I don't have Snapchat. Everyone sat around, boys and girls, and snapped at each other. My wife and I said, gosh darn it, go talk to the girl. And they're like, but that's not how it works anymore. And we looked at ourselves and said, there's the world as we wish it would be, and there's the world as it is. And your kids say, everybody else has it. And you try to hold out. And at some point you're like, fine, we're not going to ruin your life.
It's so different.
Your life. Yeah.
I think I got my first phone when I was 13, but there was nothing like this, right? It was literally because, like, I'm traveling for ballet and need to reach family. And now it's just like right at your phone, like your fingertips, like all social media just changing everything.